Paige Shipley and welcome to Entrelac. Entrelac is a knitting technique that ends up looking kind of like a basket weave. We are going to be doing Entrelac kind of in the round, and that will make more sense later on in the class. So if you've got your ribbing done, so you should have just about 10 rows of 1x1 ribbing, then it's time to get started on our foundation of triangles. So we'll just make triangles all around the hat, working back and forth, and then we'll do another video on creating that first row of squares. All right, so we're going to be doing little 8-stitch triangles. So the first stitch is always going to be slipped. That helps us keep a nice tidy edge. And I'll show you how to get started. All right, so we're just gonna ignore this first little triangle here and just pretend that I've finished my ribbing. So I'm going to knit 1 stitch. I'm gonna turn my knitting around and purl that stitch. In the 3rd row, I'm going to slip that 1 stitch and then I'm going to knit 1 stitch. So I've just picked up 1 stitch. I'm gonna turn that around, slip 1, purl 1. Once again, always keep that first stitch, regardless of side, a slip stitch because it just keeps things nice and tidy. So slip, knit, knit, slip, purl, purl, slip, knit, knit, pick up 1 more, slip, purl across, slip, knit, 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 and you'll feel that gap. So it's real easy to know when you've reached that end of your triangle and it's time to pick up 1 more stitch. The farther you get into this triangle, the farther away your row is going to be from the previous triangle. So after a couple rows, it's almost kind of hard to, accidentally knit into your previous triangle because there's such a gap. That gap is perfectly normal. We're going for the gap. We're trying to create space between our wedges. All right, so there's our nth triangle. So we'll pick up another stitch. So we're going to go until we have 8 stitches. So that first stitch is slipped, and then we'll have 7 knit stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's number 6. We're getting close. And just purl our way back. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, just checking my instructions here. I'm going to do that 1 more time. Right. So slip that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you'd like to place a stitch marker here, you can. Once we hit that 7 for the 2nd time, then it's time to move on to our next triangle. So marker is optional, but if it makes you feel a little better, throw one right there. So then we're going to knit 1, purl it, slip it, knit 1, and the process just repeats itself until you've absorbed all of your ribbing stitches into triangles. So they look a little funny on the needles. This is what they're supposed to look like. Entrelac is just kind of it kind of looks like wadded up granny panties while you're working on it. The magic happens after you get it off the needles. So it kind of, I think it kind of looks like a sailboat, like you've got little sails in your knitting. Whee, whee, there we go. Rough seas today. Anyhow, so we're going to keep working on our little triangles until we get all the way around. And then that's when the next video will be. Entrelac is, while it looks like we're doing it in the round, we're technically not. So we're going to be doing our triangles, and then we're going to be stopping here, and we're actually going to be changing direction and working our first level of squares the opposite way. And then we'll keep going back and forth, eventually making smaller and smaller squares by picking up fewer and fewer stitches. So it's just kind of funny that we're working back and forth on the triangles and squares, and then back and forth on the whole. So just keep going back and forth, and we'll get through this together. And I'll see you at the next video.